So you want to speak at Springfield City Council. Well, the first thing you should do is make sure you have the time. The city council meetings typically start at 5:30 on Tuesdays, but they can and typically do run for hours. I've been attending city council meetings for months now, taking notes. The shortest I've seen a city council meeting run is 45 minutes, I think. The longest I've seen a city council meeting run was 6 hours, I think. Yeah, there was a city council meeting that ran until 11:30 at night due to having just a gobsmacking number of speakers. And I'm sure that'll happen again, very soon. Now that's the exception, not the rule. Typically, city council meetings run like 2.5, 3 hours. But even then, make sure you don't have anything planned that night, is what I'm saying. You're going to be there a while. Also, I bring this up because someone specifically asked me this. There is no option to speak virtually. You do have to appear in person. So, assuming you have the time, how do you go about going up there to speak? The easiest way to do it is to go online and fill out the online form to address the City Council. Go to the City of Springfield's website, there's a link to it in the description, and go to the Your Government tab, right here. There should be a drop-down menu with 8 options. Go down to City Council Information, second from the bottom. Right there. Click on it. This will take you to another menu. You're going to want to pick the very first option, Address the City Council. Click on that. There are a handful of stipulations regarding who can speak and when. Most of them probably don't affect you. Scroll down a bit more and you'll see you have several options. You can send a fax, very helpful for people still living in 1989. You can download a form and submit it formally, literally handing it in or mailing it. But we're going to click on the Fill out the online form. And from here, it's pretty simple. Add your name, add the name of your company or organization, your address, add your email here, and add what you'd like to talk about if you had an opportunity to do so. Fill all those out, click submit, and you should get an email confirming whether or not your request has been approved or not. Now, there could be some hiccups to this process. Let's say, for example, that you are unhoused and you don't have regular access to internet or a phone. What you would do in that case is you would print the form out manually and fill it out manually with a pen. You could print it out at the library next to the utility building. You could go over to Tiara's place, Intricate Minds, print it out there. You could print it out at the utility building you will be turning it into. If you have to turn it in manually, here's a bit of advice. When you turn it in to the 2 people at the front desk, have them make you a copy. Keep that copy with you. That way you have documentation that you signed up in case Hanour or Redpath decide to play games with you. Redpath has been known to do that, so... Okay, let's say that you live in Springfield, but you don't technically live in Springfield Township. That's something that I'm to understand statistically comes up about 1 in every 20 times for 1 in every 20 people. What you do then is go up to Your Government again and go to Aldermen and Alderwomen. Click on that. You'll see right here is a ward map function. Click on that. Wait maybe a minute. It takes some time to load. And here you go. I live right over here in Ward 4. If you don't live in Springfield Township, if you live in Leland Grove or Jerome or the Donut Hole, I have checked. You do not need to add your ward to be eligible to sign up for City Council. That makes sense. If you're adding your address, adding your ward is kind of superfluous. And those are the things I can think of off the top of my head that might be problems. If there's anything else that comes up for you or for someone else you know trying to sign up, the comments should be open. Ask and I'll help out as much as I can. Oh, I thought of another thing. In my experience, the website for the City Council, the website for the city, runs best on Google Chrome. So if you're using Firefox or Microsoft Edge or Safari and you're having some problems with it, try switching over to Chrome, seeing if that helps. Now let me immediately put my money where my mouth is. Maybe your problem isn't technical, but rhetorical. Maybe you don't know what to talk about. I feel compelled to state, first off, you can talk about anything. You have 5 whole minutes. Go nuts. Are you mad about the Democratic insistence that the only way to beat Trump is to do whatever Trump wants whenever he wants to do it? Talk about that. Are you concerned about UIS students who might have lost their visas and are at risk of being deported to El Salvador? Talk about that. Is there a particularly nasty pothole in a road nearby where you live? Tell the city council how that pothole ruined your life. Tell our city council how that pothole broke the rear axle on your car and killed your dog. There was this one guy, his name was Robert Williams. He would come to city council every week talking about how he was being racially discriminated against in one way or another, how he was guaranteed some kind of housing in the Illinois Constitution, and he would always threaten to sue the city over it. There was at least one instance of a woman who came to city council to tell them that she was being gang-stalked by the police. And this is a thing I feel needs to be stressed. If you live in or around Springfield, you have the right, derived from the First Amendment right to petition the government for grievance, to talk to city council about whatever you want. As long as you follow the rules of decorum, don't swear, don't raise your voice too much, address the chair, and don't go over your time, you can talk about whatever you want. You could provide a passionate defense for the narrative quality of the half-baked Will Smith vehicle, iRobot. You could explain the science of Dragon Ball Z's ki blasts. You could even rap. You know, I say it like that, but people have read poetry to city council before. You could go up and rap, and I think that would be really cool. But if you want to bring up specific issues, I have some suggestions. You could talk about the censorship of people who come to city council to speak. For people who have been coming to city council to speak consistently for almost a year now, that's the most hot button topic, for reasons I hope I don't have to explain. The March 25th Committee of the Whole meeting is an especially egregious instance of this. Several people were inappropriately censored. One of those people, a woman named Caitlin Weiss, not only had her mic muted, but video of her speaking was removed from the broadcast online. Weiss is the sister of a woman named Chelsea Farley. Farley and another person, Trevor Hopkins, were run over by former police sergeant Michael Etgan when Michael decided to drive home drunk as a skunk from his retirement party. Weiss has consistently come to city council to speak on their behalf. Let me put that in more plain language. A relative who has consistently come to city council to speak on behalf of people who are victims of absolutely unjustified police violence was purposely and maliciously censored by the city that employed the person who did that violence. Pretty sketchy. Another woman, Bree Roberts, was also inappropriately censored. Her mic was muted for no apparent reason, seemingly by mistake. Still pretty sketchy if you ask me. As Ward 6 Alderwoman Jennifer Notriano pointed out, it seems really weird that it is consistently women that are being censored. Speaking of which, if you wanted to, you could talk about the prevalence of police violence here in Springfield. A lot of people, very rightly, got very upset over the shooting of Sonia Massey last year, but that is far from the only incident of police violence here in Springfield, even in recent memory. There was Farley and Hopkins getting run over, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. There was the bulldozing of the unhoused encampment on 5th and North Grand, right ahead of the Route 66 festival, incidentally. Here's an interesting one. I remember the week after Sonia Massey was shot, the first city council meeting after she was shot, a man named Arnell Hampton came to city council saying that he had video footage of police in Springfield beating his son so badly that he needed to go to the hospital. I've seen that video. It's bad. As to why that happened, well, I would advise you to go down to MLK and ask the people down there what happens when you have tinted windows. Or you could ask them what happens to people who try to throw a party. Better yet, maybe ask the police how they feel about that. They'll tell you. And if neither of those things float your boat, you could really get in their face and talk about corruption in the city. The most evident example of this is the appointment of Chuck Redpath to the position of city clerk over the objections of everyone present except literally his best friend. It's come out since then that it's actually even sketchier than that. Two of the alderwomen that were there were... I'm going to use the word misled because I don't want to be sued for libel. Two of the alderwomen present, Lakeisha Purchase and Jennifer Notriana, were allegedly misinformed about what their present vote would mean in regards to how the vote turned out. And that's on top of all the other things that came out during Redpath's nomination. His family's instability, his own instability, his nepotism, and specific allegations that I don't think YouTube is going to allow me to repeat. I want to specifically note that Redpath responded to those last allegations by threatening to sue the person making them. And you could talk about how Redpath has mismanaged the office of city clerk, from pedestrian things like reading bills wrong and forgetting speakers to big deal things. Apparently, allegedly, Redpath has been slow-walking FOIA requests to such a degree that multiple entities are suing the city over it. You could talk about anything and everything regarding the city's refusal to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, and really showing those kids that the government does not work for them. Depending on how spicy you're feeling, you might want to bring up how all those massage parlors are still operating within city limits. Is that being slow-walked as well? I don't know. I don't want to get sued. Also, not for nothing, but this corruption does not stop at the city council level. There's a newly elected Sangamon County chairperson, trustee person, something along those lines, named Evan Brown, who has credible accusations of being, at best, a sex pest, and at worst, something that rhymes with grape. One of the most important Democratic officials in the state of Illinois, a guy named Bill Houlihan, responded to those allegations by saying, "Well, Evan Brown has never been racist to me, a white person." It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassments in Springfield, you could talk about how the East Side really needs help and just isn't getting it. Now, I know that I am perhaps not the best person to talk about that issue, but we all have to deal with the cards we have. And the East Side and its status is something that keeps coming up and keeps getting people in trouble. In fact, the very first person I remember being threatened with arrest at City Council was Dr. Lisa Johnson. She was talking about data that she had collected that indicated very strongly that the East Side had been deprived almost entirely of financial resources and subsequently over-policed. She was able to prove this with math. They threatened to arrest her for that. Now, I'm going to repeat that because it bears repeating. Dr. Lisa Johnson was able to prove that the East Side was getting the short end of the stick with math. And they threatened to arrest her for it. Embarrassing. There was the issue of Better Life, Better Living for Children. That's a organization that works to prevent youth violence here in Springfield. They had been allocated money by City Council but couldn't get it for wonky reasons. Ward 10 Alderman Ralph Hanauer threatened to pull the funding they weren't getting on the basis that the town couldn't afford it. That went on for weeks. Embarrassing. Peak embarrassing behavior. There's all the police violence that's still happening on the East Side. There's all the derelict and abandoned buildings. There's all the sketchy landlords. There's the lead in the pipes. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I'm not the best person to talk about it, for reasons I hope I don't have to explain. I haven't chosen or even framed these topics at random. These are all specific topics that people have been censored over. These are all specific topics that the city has pushed back against. And these are all specific topics that are deeply intertwined. Corruption leads to violence. Usually on the East Side, they always get the short end of the stick. Leads to people speaking out against that violence, leads to people getting censored, leads to more corruption. The city, not the city council except for Hanauer, but specifically the mayor and the people who work for her, are pushing back against accountability because they view the mere having of power as being more important than the judicious use of that power. As best as I've been able to glean, the mayor seems to view merely being in charge as being more important than doing anything to benefit the people who delegated that power to her. It's power without purpose, power without personhood, power that exists only to preserve itself. They have to censor the people who point to the harm that the city is doing because they don't want anyone to think that they have the responsibility to stop it. Mayor Busher can't use her powers as mayor to benefit the people of the city because that would be an implicit admission that she has a moral responsibility to use her powers as mayor to do just that. And you can hear that in her voice when she goes on the radio and talks about people who speak against injustice. She says we're contemptuous, ungrateful, we don't understand how the world works, and we need to get a grip. The government doesn't exist to change things, it exists to keep things the same. There are some phrases that describe that way of thinking. You could call it business as usual. You could call it the good old boys club. You could call it machine politics. Whatever you call it, it sucks. It sucks and it keeps getting people hurt. And that's why people have been pushing back against it. Now, more than ever. There are a lot of different blowhards and scammers trying to divide people along political lines, but I'm here to assure you that what is more important than whether or not someone is a Republican or a Democrat, what is more important than whether or not they are progressive or conservative or liberal or centrist, is whether or not they view themselves as being a member of a great big club that you're not part of. On Tuesday, Mayor Busher is going to be at City Council making sure that your voice isn't heard. So my question to you is, what are you doing Tuesday night? Fucking nailed it. Huzzah! Hey, post-editing around here with some post-editing stuff. First is a regular call to action stuff that I'm sure you've heard before, but I am legally obligated to go through anyway. You know where the likes are, you know where the comments are, leave one or both if you like. I don't know if it helps me much in YouTube's algorithm. I have a tiny channel, but it sure makes me feel like I haven't been wasting my time on this. One thing I do know helps is sharing the video to people who will, for sure, watch it. This video is relevant to anyone who lives in Springfield, Illinois, so share it with them. You can also share it on social media. The City of Springfield and the Mayor have accounts on Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and the health site we don't talk about because it's overrun with fascists. Share the video and tag the city in it, with one of your favorite quotes. Something else you can do that doesn't help the channel per se, but helps me, is to give me money on Ko-Fi. This video, this comparatively short video I might add, took over 75 hours over the course of a week to make. Now, I don't make videos for money. I make this video because I'm a socialist and I believe in the common good. But, if you have a couple of bucks you don't know where you're going to do with, I do have bills I need to pay. And you could help me do that. Link to my Ko-Fi is in the description. Please give me whatever money you feel comfortable giving. The second thing. During the production of this video, it was announced that there will be 4 open houses in Springfield. I am not entirely certain what these houses will be for, and I am not hopeful what they will be trying to accomplish in a mere 2 hours when City Council has been extended by that much just by speakers. Nevertheless, I will gently suggest that it might be worthwhile to come to these open houses if you can. I'll be there, I'll tell you that much. I am planning there to be a follow-up to this video. I ended up cutting out about half the script so I could run it by someone more knowledgeable than me. That's hopefully coming out next week, so tentatively look forward to that. I thank you for listening, I thank you for your time, and until we speak again, go out, do something important, and take care of yourself. As best as I can tell, the mayor and the people who work for her view merely being in charge as being more important than doing anything to benefit the people who delegated that power to them. It's power without purpose, power without personhood, power that exists only to keep itself. Damn it.